Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fighter Heart podcast. I'm Joe Rizzo, and today we're sitting with Kelly Siegel. Thanks for joining us, Kelly.
Joe, it's a pleasure to be a part of be asked to be part of such a great organization.
Hey, appreciate you being here. So, we like to get into it right away here. So, if you could just give us a little bit about your background, who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your upbringing, and then get right into your Fighter Heart story, if you would.
Awesome. I wrote a book called Harder Than Life, which is actually details. It's available on Amazon. It was a bestseller for multiple weeks, multiple categories. But my big claim to fame is, grew up poor off of 8 Mile, the 8 Mile that Eminem made famous in his movie. Went to high school for 1 year with Eminem, actually grew up with his baby mama that he raps about over and over and over about
Kim?
killing. Yep, Kim. Kim grew up 2 streets from me. Our whole entire childhood, from we went from kindergarten to high school, 2 streets away from each other. So you can imagine, if you watched the movie 8 Mile and watched the trailer park and the crazy fighting and drinking and betrayal that happened. That was our life. That literally was how we grew up. And when you grow up that way, it is fight or flight, man. And it is kill or be killed. You don't trust many people. You don't trust yourself. You don't love yourself, and it is survival. And you grow up that way in such calamity and chaos that becomes your normal. So you create calamity and chaos in your life because that's normal. Well, one day I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore, and I started with, hey, um, I'm going to redefine the nature of my association with alcohol. And it wasn't like I was a drunk or even an alcoholic, but it was definitely out of control, because when you grew up, that's what you did. Even at our young age, at 14, at 15, at 16, at 17, all we did was get together and drink at that young of an age. So obviously, you go away to college. I went away to college. Most of my friends from high school are dead or in jail. I don't talk to any of them for that reason. And I went off to go to college and said, I don't want this for my life. And I started an IT company called National Technology Management that is uh, high seven figures and successful and does cybersecurity all over the globe. And but it was through lots of twists and turns and trials and tribulations. And man, I could have made it a lot easier on myself. I would have just started looking and getting my validation. Look at the mirror, not look out the window and say, what do I want my life to be? But I just rolled with the flow and fit in with everybody. And all of a sudden woke up at 43 and said, I'm not happy. I was successful financially. I was the life of the party, had thousands of friends, blast, traveled all over the globe, done the craziest things, could do whatever I wanted, but didn't like the man in the mirror. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just take a little break from this alcohol. And when I did that, I started feeling feelings that I didn't know I had suppressed since I was a little kid growing up off of 8 Mile, getting physically and emotionally abused by my parents. And when you're supposed to be loved by your parents and they are abusive to you, you grow up with this hard armor and lack of trust. So I started working out, built this big body to protect myself, and proceeded on 30 years of mayhem, and just said, you know what? And then all of a sudden, the day that I said I'm going to fricking take back my life, God sent me all kinds of calamity and tested me to no end. And I then said, okay, you've passed. Now we're going to give you this harder than life brand because you're harder than life. And 5 years later, I am able to do whatever I want to have this personal freedom. And life is so good that the next book is going to be called Easier Than Life, because it really is. You end up drinking poison and expecting other people to die when in fact, and my parents did the best they could. The moment that I stopped like hating them and hoping bad things and just literally forgave them, I realized they did the best they could. I'm alive, I'm well, and I need to start doing good. So for that, I got this crazy harebrained idea to donate $1 million to charity per year for the rest of my life. We started the Harder Than Life brand majorly about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and we're hoping to make. We're just now turning it financially positive through the Harder Than Life podcast, which is number 48 on the Apple personal development podcast page. We're climbing up. We're going to get to top 10. So we have sponsorships through there. We have the book Harder Than Life available on Amazon. We also have the Harder Than Life community social media happiness and healthy hangout app. No algorithms, no censorship. Go to the Apple page, type in or Apple App Store, type in Harder Than Life. It'll come up. It is a social media platform focused on fitness, nutrition, dating and relationships. I think I said fitness and well, one more, personal development. So you can go in there. There's all kinds of resources and people collaborating and working together to better. What you won't see are any crabs in the bucket where anybody's spewing any negativity. This thing's been a month old and I've already seen people collaborate and doing business with each other. It's $6.99 a month and it all goes to charity. So those are the three ways that, well, and then there's all kinds of Harder Than Life merchandise that you can buy on the website. It's harderthanlife.com. And so we're just trying to do that do good, give back, because truthfully, I should be a statistic. I should be dead or in jail like my friends. And for some reason, God had bigger plans for me. And Joe, we're just getting this thing started, man. We are just ramping this thing up. You know, we had to do the thing like, how do we connect? And it's because the brand, you know. And so I get to meet some amazing people. We just had Brad Lee on the podcast. I'm supposed to be in New York where you guys are on Saturday, but my schedule is so full. I have a dear friend out there, Craig Siegel. His brand is blowing up, and he's got Coach Burt coming out there. And just man, we this all started with just that one decision to just say life can be better, and I was right. Today, I wake up with so much freedom, so much happiness, gratitude, and just a love of life. And boy, is that negative snowball effect, the positive snowball effect is even greater.
So what do you think is the reason you were able to make it out? Like, why were you able to go to college? And I'm sure a lot of your friends weren't, obviously.
I have in the recent months, if you follow the brand at all or our podcast, I swear to, I think God calls or qualifies the called. And I'm not a religious guy, but as I've released and surrendered to a higher power, some people call it source, some people call it energy, some people call it Jesus, some people call it God, maybe it's Allah. I don't know, but there is something out there working in my favor, because the moment I acknowledge that there's a higher power and I ask for something, that higher power, I call it God, delivers. And I ask for very specific things. So the long answer to your short question is God had something bigger and planned for me. And it was, he blessed me with this gift of gab, with this gift of oration, with this big muscular body for people to freaking listen to, and this never ending thirst to learn it all. I read incessantly. I take in more content than anybody because I want to learn so I can pay it forward. So you ask me that question, I tell you God had bigger plans for me, and now we're fulfilling it. Because growing up, I've been shot at, rushed off of 8 Mile, been stabbed, been ran over, been beaten, been left for dead, and yet I'm still here. So somebody, something has been looking out for me. So I'm going to call it divine power, my friend.
Amazing. So you said something happened one day where it just clicked and you wanted more. Is that also God? Or is that like, did something happen, like a few things happen leading up to that moment that triggered you like, all right, I'm done with this?
is a great question. I've never been asked that. I would tell you that no. This was 13 years of, yeah, well, yes and no. It wasn't an epiphany where it was like, I'm stopping right now. It was, I wrote about this in the Heart and Life book. I was 30 years old and I was in Koh Phangan, Thailand at the full moon party doing shots of tequila with Liam Neeson. And prior to that, this is like, I want to say 10 o'clock in the morning the next day. And we were all heading to an after party. If you've ever seen the full moon party, Google it. There's a special out there where these guys traveled the world and ended up in Koh Phangan, Thailand, and went to this full moon party. It is a sight to see like you've never seen before. 30,000 people partying on a beach with all different genres, all different types of alcohol and drugs. And prior to me doing shots of tequila with Liam, I was like out of my mind on hallucinogenic mushrooms. And I'm like, I didn't have a care if I lived or died. And I'm like, I have got to get this drinking in order. This is out of control. I was 30. So from 30 to 43, when I actually said I'm done, there were a series of events that God was sending me messages like, hey, Siegel, hey, dummy, you're wasting your life. You are destined for more. I have bigger plans for you. And he kept throwing things at me. I mean, we were, I was changing a tire on the side of the road and a car came and I was drinking and a car came and hit. Luckily, I called a wrecker and to come help us, and the wrecker was parked. Car came and hit the wrecker and pushed it in the car. It's like I was too stupid to realize that was God saying, "You have no business being out. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're on the side of the road. You don't need to be out. You don't need to be doing this." So, I mean, I can sit here and they say hindsight is 2020, but I can look back now and say, "Holy smokes, God kept sending me messages and sending me near-death experiences, going, wake up, you knucklehead." And Joe, I don't know how old you are, but you look like a young man. But if you look back, there, God is always trying to align you where you're supposed to be. We're just so stubborn, and we our filters from our childhood and our ego jumps in and says, I know best for me. No, 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 you don't. Surrender and allow, just be and stop doing. And that's harder than life.
Well, speaking of harder than life, that was my next question. Can you tell us more about the book and what people would learn from reading it?
Yeah, the funniest thing about it is on the when the pandemic hit, and you're in New York, I was in Detroit at the time, so New York and Michigan were pretty similar in their views of the lockdown. It was pretty tight, so there was nothing to do. Gyms were closed, so I sat down and started writing. I built a home gym. I was doing push-ups and sit-ups, and I started doubling down. I was about 15 months into my journey, into my sobriety journey or not drinking. And I had a quest for more. And I swear to you, I am so sad that people died, but that pandemic happened for me, where I had no option but to sit at home by myself and look inside. So when I did that, things just started coming out. And I have the spiral notebooks to shoot through it. I just started writing my thoughts out, and I called a publisher and said, I got all these things and I got the story of my life. I don't know if there's a book here or what it is, but something keeps telling me to write a book. So I read it to them, and then like, oh yes, this is fire. And after I did, I filled in the blanks about what it is, and it turned out to be like a memoir, but a how to start an IT company and personal brand. And I give all the details of all the gory details of growing up in Warren, Michigan, just off of 8 Mile, just outside of Detroit with Eminem and the likes, and how I ended up running a multi-million-dollar IT company. And I gave it all the things. But now the next book is, there's so much more that from the pandemic on, I think I took my entire life and doubled it in the last 5 years. So, and it's not even 5 years. When was the pandemic? 2020. So we're 4 years later into this.
Wow,
I think I've lived a whole new life in the last 4 years versus the previous 43, 44 years. And man, it just keeps getting better, Joe. It keeps getting better, and it's freaking awesome. And we're only getting started with a Harder Than Life brand. And that's what the book's about. It started off, it was supposed to just be cathartic. I said, I'm just going to give this to my customers at NTM so they can see what goes on in my mind. It was vulnerable and honest. And I just put it all out there, and it connected me with people. And and then when I was done with it, the publisher said, this is so good, you've got to do more. And I go, what's more? They're like, start a podcast. So I started a podcast, and then it became a personal brand, and now it's blowing up. And this time next year we will be up there with the Ed Milet's and the Andy Frisellas and the Tony Robbins, because I won't stand for less.
Very cool, man. It's really cool to see your determination. Do you do like events, like speaking events like Tony Robbins, that kind of thing?
We do. I did a bunch of them last summer, but realized I have a house in Florida on the water, and I'm 48 years old. I don't have the energy I had when I was 28. I can't go, 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 go. And frankly, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I just don't want to go back. I don't want to live in hotel rooms and on airplanes. Because if I'm going to be in an airplane, I want to shoot to my Florida house to rest and recharge, and bring better content to people. So we will do those, but it's very picky, choosy. Uh, and part of, if you read the Harder Than Life book, it talks about residual income. So the better way to make a bigger impact is to build something where you get residual income. Hello, Harder Than Life app. So you do the math. We're looking for 1 million family members in the Harder Than Life app at $6.99. Apple takes their 15%, 5 million or so bucks a month. We can make a big dent and create a safe place for people that don't want to be criticized on the free versions of other platforms. It's not to criticize. Every single every single software and business has its place in this world, but I just want to create this zone of assassins, of killers, of winners that all want to collaborate together. I call them just like-minded people that don't want to hear somebody telling them, you go to my social media, everybody, oh, all you do is steroids. You know what? You guys wanted me to submit a drug test? I will. I hate to say it, bro. I do the work day in and day out, 5 a.m. every morning at the gym. Just because you don't do the work and don't like your life and don't want to frickin' I irritate, my confidence irritates their insecurities. That's not my problem. But I know a way to get rid of that. Charge a couple of bucks and create a fraternity or sorority of like-minded people that all want to lift each other up with no censorship and no selling of your data, and see where it goes from there. I'm not trying to compete against the other people, but I want to create an environment that is free to do and say, where everybody has a voice and do and say what you want, which is positive. It's all positive.
How would you say the Harder Than Life app is better or differentiates from like Facebook or the other social medias?
Well, I just said it for the last 2 or 3 minutes, and it's there's no algorithms, there's no censorship. That everybody has a voice. It's a couple of bucks a month. It's all going to charity, and it's really like-minded people. The only thing is if somebody gets on there and starts knocking people, they will get a warning, and then they will get asked to leave. But what we found is second you charge money, those people like to just be relevant for free.
Yeah.
So and it's morphing into some really cool things. I've left this part. I forgot a big part of there's 5 elements to it. Again, it's fitness, nutrition, personal development. I forgot rethinking drinking, and then fitness. So if a lot of people, since my whole crusade started with just redefining my nature, my association with naughty water, I want to throw it in there because there's 15% of the world that doesn't drink. There's 15% of the world that are absolute alcoholics, I'd love to help them, but it's that middle 70% that maybe you're young and you just started drinking and you have a few cocktails that it just keeps growing. I want to talk to those people. And that's what this rethinking drinking talks about. It's like, man, I'm not telling you not to drink. I'm telling you to drink responsibly and drink for the right reasons. You want to have a glass of wine with your bros. You want to have a glass of scotch with your cigar. Great. Just understand what it's for, and that it doesn't need 2 or 10 or 30 because it doesn't help. So that's what it's all about. It's just for people to get in there and help. Man, I've already got people collaborating on business opportunities. The nutrition section, people are hitting each other up saying, hey, what have you found that works for losing weight? What have you found for building muscle? And then the people flip over to the fitness section and there's bodybuilders in there going, rah! And then there's people that are freaking mid-tier. There's just something for everybody. And it's just growing legs too. And all it was for was to get that residual income to be able to donate to charity. So Kelly doesn't have to be on a plane all over the place. It gives me the opportunity to multiply myself without multiplying myself. And frankly, I love hanging out there because the people are freaking awesome.
Hey, it sounds like it's working, man. It seems like you're a happy guy.
I am. It's the purple shirt, bro. It's the purple shirt.
So what is some advice that, the Kelly that we see now would give to, like someone growing up, a kid growing up in Detroit, or, even the 15, 14-year-old Kelly?
Man, how long do we got? The one thing I would say, and I love obviously having a 15-year-old daughter, the age demographic of that 13 to 17 is very near and dear to my heart, because never before have we ever had to experience a life growing up socially. You want to see if you're cool, there is a number associated with it. You can go and see how many people liked your post, how many people are following you, and it has a number. So it is a tough time to be a teenager in this world. It used to be when I grew up, it's who showed up at your birthday party, or who you hung out with and played with on the playground, who you went biking with after school. That was what made you cool and whatnot. Now there's a number, so there's no denying. Are you cool? Are you not? So that external validation, strong. So the number one thing I would say to you is look within. Get all of the validation you need from within. And I would say start using all the resources that are out there, notably the Harder Than Life app, so you can see about loving yourself. Because once you love, I was at Bradley on my podcast yesterday. He said, you want to raise your net worth? Look for your self-worth. Just raise your self-worth. So I would say read books, listen to books, take in positive content, and understand that the things that you think that you know, you don't. And thoughts are magical lies. So we were taught the way our parents grew up, they handed that on to us. Most of that stuff is survival, and it's not true. And I tell you, most of what I do, I go through it, and I'm like, man, that feeling that I have is wrong. It's not true. I'm not being attacked. My mother or my stepfather isn't going to jump out and freaking beat me anymore. Nobody's going to beat me, but yet there's times that I feel that, and people feel like, oh, they're inadequate. The best advice I could tell you is that most people are not talking about you. They don't care about you, and they're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So if you think that somebody else, you can't take anything personal in this world, because it's never personal. We are so self-absorbed as people that it's, oh my God, I wonder if people are going to make fun of me in my purple shirt. I wonder if what problem I'm going to go into when I go into the NTM office. Now I'm being facetious because I don't think like that. I wake up and I think gratitude. I'm grateful that I was able to fly from Florida last night. My daughter and I are home safe. She's off to school. I'm at my IT company. I get to see my work family today. I get to be on your podcast. These are all things I get to do, not I have to do. So That was again a long-winded answer, but it's your mindset creates everything. So and this is the difficult thing is people realize that when you become self-sufficient and you really love yourself, you become a unicorn. And that's what I term the one percenter. When you become a one percenter, when you are truly happy in your life, you're in the 1% of the population. And those people make all the money. So I'll say this, money doesn't make you happy, but happiness will make you money. So if you can choose anything in this world, be happy. And it is a choice. And it's a bunch of choices that takes you to be happy. It's if I'm going to drink and do drugs, I'm not going to be happy. But if I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to freaking have standards and boundaries of who has access to me and no negativity, no energy vampires allowed. I'm all those decisions cultivated together are going to make you happy.
So that's what
All
you,
too often we are on the hamster wheel of life. We're on a merry-go-round. And what do? You go freaking merry-go-round and you puke instead of being on life's roller coaster, which you're going to have ups and downs. And the best part about those downs is the up is coming. And in those downs, there is a lesson that God is trying to teach you. Learn it and then ride that freaking up again. And then what happens after you do so much work? The highs and the lows become very shallow. So you kind of do this. And remember, if you flatline, you're dead. So you want those ups and downs. So my advice is to do as much positive work, personal development on yourself as possible. And be careful who you surround yourself with. Because man, there's a lot of negative people out there. And it is so easy to be negative. So easy. And it ain't much harder to be positive. But positive gets paid.
what are your thoughts on trusting people? Do you think everyone has to earn trust, or you give it to them until they give you a reason not to trust them?
Perfect segue question. If you love yourself, you inevitably trust yourself to make the right decision. And if you made a poor decision, you have the tools and habits and wherewithal to get yourself out of that situation. I'll give you a case in point. Every once in a while, I make a dumb decision. I do. It happens. I will say yes to something that I wanted to say no to. And inevitably, God will come in and say, cancel the event. And it'll cancel. And I'm like, oh, I should have gone with my thing. But let's just say I end up at a place where it's not in alignment with my values. I get there, I feel it, and I say, you know what, guys, it's real good to see everybody. I'm going to head out, and I leave. So, it just becomes one of those things where if you love yourself, if you truly love yourself, and it's one of the hardest things. What does self-love look like? Self-love means the person that you want to be and who you are in complete alignment. Because that space, the bigger that space, is the regret and is the punishment that you're doing to yourself. So if you love yourself and you've done work on yourself and you hold your standards and boundaries and you absolutely do not negotiate with yourself and do not freaking come off those boundaries, God will reward you. And happiness happens. So you will feel, here's the best part about this, Joe, is that energy level will repel bad people. They're going to know right away, holy cow, Kelly's going to see right through me. And guess what? We do. We do. And I can see, and here's the best part. Here's the easiest, simplest thing. You don't need to be a genius. Just watch people. They will tell on themselves. So yes, I trust everybody. I do. I am a trusting person. I used to, growing up, not trust anybody.
Yeah.
Which sucked. That's a terrible way to go through life. So I trust everybody. I give them enough rope to hang themselves, and the wrong ones inevitably do. And I just pull away.
Yeah.
And you don't allow access. And it doesn't, I say don't wrestle with a pig because you'll just both get muddy and the pig will love it. So certain conversations don't need to be had. But really, truthfully, if you're vibrating really, really high, the people that aren't meant for you, and it goes for romantic relationships too, man. So it's funny how people that have not dealt with their crap won't even mess with you when you're vibrating high like that. They're like, oh no. So you get what you want. the right people around you, or you get what you need, the people that aren't for you bolt. And it's freaking, it's freedom and peaceful. Freedom to do whatever you want because you know you're going to be okay. And it's peaceful because you don't have any freaking chaos in your life. I mean this, Joe. I have zero problems in my life, zero chaos. And the second you come into my life and try to bring me chaos or drama, you're gone. It's that simple.
Just solutions, no problems.
Absolutely.
Very cool, man. I mean, we're almost wrapping up here. I'll tell you one thing, one way I live by, which is kind of similar to you, is like, I don't know, you ever see the movie The Bronx Tale? A Bronx Tale?
Heck yeah, bro. That's one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah. So like, I mean, one of the parts where Sonny's telling like that guy owes me 20 bucks, you know, and then he's like, good riddance, it's 20 bucks, he's out of your life, you never got to deal with that guy again. It's very similar to trusting everyone until they give you a reason not to.
Best line in that book movie was, "Is it to be better to be feared or loved?"
Yeah, yeah.
Now I happen to disagree with that. I'd rather be loved. I think love is everything. If you can do anything, lead with love. As a matter of fact, if you see me and you'll run into me, we'll hang out one day. You'll see me walking around. I'll start patting my heart, and it's because I'm feeling myself fall out of alignment, and and it's just reminding me to love, 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 love. I love everything, and I come out at everything with love, and everything falls into place. If I start dealing with fear or lack, so when I love, I feel abundant and I can give, 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 give. It's when I fall out of that alignment that I'll tap my heart again. And so that's the only part I disagree with Sonny on. I'd rather be loved than feared because they're going to love you enough that you can propel and do anything in this world. Joe, how old are you?
33.
Oh, you got a lot, dude. 33. So that's when I had my daughter, and it was just things got real interesting and real serious. You have a family?
Not yet. I have a girlfriend for 3 years, but we're gonna get married.
Nice. Does she know that?
Yeah. She's every day she's asking me. So yeah, it's gonna happen.
You know, relationships are everything, Joe. And again, value the relationship over everything else. Because once you do that, everything else happens. So I'll give you, for instance, so we started off NTM 26 years ago. It was called Kelly Communications. I never, it was an agency. So we would sell local phone service, long distance phone service, internet service. And I never knew how much the companies paid us because I valued the relationship over any money. And then guess what? Money came. If you value a relationship, money will come. And if you put your relationship with your girlfriend ahead of everything else, good things happen. Now, I will also tell you guys, remember, they tell you when you get on an airplane, put your mask on before you help anybody else because your health, your happiness, it's not self-care is not selfish. You have to be a whole person so you can be available and provide safety and a landing spot for your girlfriend. Best advice I can ever give you, man.
Yeah, that's what it is to be a man, I would say, in my opinion.
Hey, I like that. That's a whole podcast right there. You've done some work on yourself. And communication is key, man. You know, co-creating together. It's not people don't realize I'm fascinated by love and relationships. That's why I put it in the Heart of Life app. It is so simple that it's painful. But people come in with this baggage and they're looking for somebody else to complete them. And that's not the way the world works. You have to complete yourself. They have to complete themselves. And you come together and you have two whole completions, not you're my missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
No, you get that from within. So if you guys have anything left that you need working on personally, do it before you guys get married. Because what happens is life is, people don't realize this, once you get into real life and the relationships, those insecurities, those incompletions will magnify. And that's why divorce happens.
Yeah. Are you married, I assume?
No, I am single. And it's, you know, part of that is, I wouldn't even get into this.
No.
The real reason why I quit drinking was for love. So I was battling all these relationships where I was meeting these emotionally unavailable women. and I couldn't figure out why. And turns out like attracts like. I was emotionally unavailable because I was always drinking and always partying and always looking for the next thing. So when I became emotionally secure and available, then and I had to signal the universe that I was this by saying no to all these emotionally unavailable women. I've started to attract emotionally secure women, and we'll see. I'm sure that I'm successful financially and gregarious and halfway good looking and work out. I'm sure that even if I wanted to stay single, I couldn't. But there's big work to do, and I want a partner that's gonna make my life better and push me to the next level. I don't need much. Matter of fact, I don't need anything. I just want to freaking make a dent in the universe and leave it a little bit better than I found it, and show people what's possible. I am a poor kid from South Warren that is going to donate $1 million for the rest of my life. I'm going to live another 50 years. That's $50 million I want to donate, and I'm going to do it by just being my genuine, authentic self, being honest, and just bringing it every single day.
I don't doubt that for a minute, man. Not at all. Thank you so much for taking the time, Kelly.
Hey, Joe, I want to tell you one thing. I am ordained, so if you guys want, I'm actually officiating a wedding next month for some friends. So if you ever want to have a fun wedding, I meet with you guys separately, and I help you with your vows, or I do it, and we have some of the funnest times. It's the new world that we live in, man. Nobody goes to the church anymore. I mean, people do, but I just want to throw that out there, man, because you imagine you put a microphone in my hand, and all you're going to get is love and positivity.
I feel it through the Zoom. I never felt love and positivity through a Zoom like this before. So I definitely believe
It's got to be that beanbag in the back. That's probably it.
Yeah, I should have fluffed that up before this actually, but
It's all good, man. You're still young and having fun, and enjoy every minute of it. Because the other thing too is tomorrow's not guaranteed, man. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. I just got off the phone with a buddy whose dad is more than likely going to be has cancer. He's 75 years old, but still, Toby Keith just passed away at 62. 2 years before that, you never know. So live your life, man, and lead it with love.
I gotta end on that. I mean that, but I'm definitely gonna take you up on that ordainment. I'm gonna email you for sure.
It's good stuff, man. I'm so grateful I met you. Nothing happens that isn't meant to be. So there's a reason why we met, and anything I could do for you, personally or professionally, you have my number, you have my contact information. Reach out anytime.
I appreciate that, Kelly. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Everyone else, we'll be back next week for another Fighter Heart podcast. Thanks for listening.